Tokyo. Thank you so much for joining today.
Thank you so much for inviting us.
よろしくお願いします。ひろゆきさん。
よろしくお願いします。
Okay, so let's start with you, Anastasia. Can you tell me a little bit about how you ended up working at Happo-En?
Oh, it's thank you for asking. It's a very interesting story to me personally, at least. So I actually I came to this job fair, and I saw this very beautiful exhibition booth that was filled with just breathtaking photos of a traditional Japanese garden and beautiful models in traditional Japanese wedding kimonos. And I was just so surprised that there is such an amazing place. And I just decided to approach that company and see what it's all about. And that's how I found out about the existence of Hapuen. And I went through several jobs interview. Unfortunately for me, I was accepted as the worker and have been working here for the past 3.5 years. So have been enjoying our garden every single day.
That's wonderful. And it seems like you have a really nice group of international staff there. And I've noticed on your YouTube page, you made some introductions on different videos and different languages. So originally you're from Russia, is that right?
Yes, I'm from Russia, and we do have staff from many other countries. So right now, my colleague, who unfortunately couldn't join us today, is from Nepal, and also my one of my other managers is American. We also have in our concierge team that meets the guests a girl from China, and we have a girl from Italy, and until recently there was also a girl from Hungary. And currently in our wedding section there is even girl from Ghana working. So it's just became a very international kind of
Amazing.
team.
Yeah, really international. And we're going to talk a little bit later how some of the original products, for example, the portable tea house called Mujoan, could be exported to events abroad, even. So it's a very international focus of the staff there in Tokyo, but also a wider view of maybe future events abroad. I would love to start talking about the gardens because I think the gardens are a real central theme of Hapuen. Such a beautiful traditional Japanese gardens right in central Tokyo. I think Ichikawa-san maybe knows a lot about the gardens. Can you tell us a little bit about the history of the gardens? What kind of trees and the layout of the gardens a little bit?
はい。八方園のお庭ですが、歴史でいうと400年前からあるお庭になっています。で、日本の時代でいうと江戸時代の初期に、作られたお庭でして、もともとは、徳川家康という大名が、おりまして、そこの、仕えていた大久保彦左衛門という大名のお屋敷でした。で、その、お屋敷だった時代から、この、今、日本でいう令和に至るまで、この地形がずっと維持されてきたお庭でもありまして、池を中心にしながら、こう、ぐるーっとお庭が回遊式で見て回っていただくことができるんですが、その景観が、もう江戸時代からずっと残っているっていうのが、この東京のど真ん中にあって、すごく貴重な場所というふうに言われています。で、この土地は、台地というふうに言われていて、こうすり鉢状になっているお庭なんですね。なので日本庭園って見るとこう平らな土地に池があったり松があったりっていうところなんですが、八方園のお庭はこうすり鉢状になっていて、上から見下ろすお庭と下から見上げるお庭、本当に四方八方どこを見てもお庭の景観が美しいっていうところから八方園という名前の由来になっています。 なのでぜひお越しいただいた際にはいろんなお庭の景観を見ていただけると、江戸時代からの景色ってこういう景観だったんだなっていうのをすごく日本文化を感じていただけるようなお庭になっています。
Anastasia, do you have that? You're gonna try in
Yes,
English? Okay.
absolutely. Yeah. Fortunately, the information is not new to me personally, so I will do my best. So
Wonderful.
about the garden history, the garden was built around 400 years ago during Edo period. Back then, during Edo period, there was the rule of Tokugawa Ieyasu, and the garden itself originally was built by his right-hand man known as Okubo Hikozaemon. And the very first so to say, origin of the garden was a private residence of the said person, Okubo Hikozaemon. So it was just his private residence with his private garden. But right until our modern days, for the past 400 years, the garden has been preserved as it is. It has been, of course, passed down to many other owners throughout history, usually very famous, very important politicians. But they all had one rule: to preserve the garden as it is in its original shape as much as possible. The garden, being the traditional Japanese circle-style garden, is built around a pond as a centerpiece. So the pond itself is located in the middle of the garden as its heart, and it is located on just a flat surface. But the garden itself, it being a circle, which means that wherever you start, you will end up just making a full circle once you go through the whole garden. But it is located on a hill that goes down the slope that leads to the pond, which makes it a very unique, first of all, landscape. And also, it creates this special effect that no matter at which point of the garden you are, you can enjoy a different type of view and a different type of scenery. And that's how the name Happo-En came to be. So Happo-En from Japanese translates as garden beautiful from all sides of the world, from all angles. And the garden actually lives up to its name, because no matter where you look from, it is totally beautiful throughout any season, all year round. And by the locals and by the Tokyo government, this garden is currently considered an important historical location, a very valuable place. And of course, we would like to introduce it to people as much as possible and to invite everyone to come and enjoy this beautiful historical garden whenever a chance arises.
That's wonderful. And I'm showing all the beautiful photos from the Facebook page, from your social media, from your website. There's so many, like you said, there's so many different angles to enjoy different views and different seasons. I noticed that there's some wild food growing there. So in the bamboo grove, you can eat the bamboo shoots. Do they utilize the bamboo in the cuisine that's served at events at the hall?
So we do use traditional Japanese ingredients, including bamboo shoots, but not the bamboo shoots that are harvested in our garden. Our garden is mostly for enjoying the beauty. Funnily enough, one of the very common questions our guests ask is, do we eat the koi carp that live in our pond? We do not. Even though there are quite a lot of them, we have about 240 koi carp living there, but they're our friends and pets, and they're there just to enjoy the beauty of
I
their
think
colors.
that's really usual in Japan. We don't usually eat the koi, right? The carp is not really a part of Japanese cuisine. And they live for a very long time. Don't they live for about 100 years or so?
Yes, they do. And actually, our koi in our pond, We had 5 new baby koi carp added to the pond last year. And so it means that they're about 1 year old. But the oldest ones in our pond are already over 60 years old.
They're such a beautiful feature of any Japanese garden. Definitely a very popular thing for people of all ages to go and feed the koi, feed the carp, and see the beautiful colors. Very popular with photography. As the gardens are used and the facilities are used for weddings, I'm so pleased to see so many beautiful photos of wedding couples in the gardens. That must be one of the big points of appeal to have your wedding at Happo-En, to have your photos in the gardens, right?
Yes, actually, not many places, even other wedding venues, if they have a Japanese garden, not many of them can actually offer such uh, mm, interesting experience of actually being actively inside the garden for the wedding photo shoots, and communicating with all the nature, because as you can see from our photos, the couples can take some memorable photos pretty much at any point of the garden. Nothing is off limits. So the garden is actually a part of the wedding venue in that sense. Joy, I'm sorry. I think you're mute for some reason.
Sorry. Thank you. Allison from Facebook has said, "Wow, I can't believe that I never heard of this gorgeous place. It looks amazing." She's been in Japan for 26 years and she's never been, even though she's been to Tokyo. And I think probably a lot of people who visited Tokyo are thinking the same thing. How can this beautiful place exist in central Tokyo and you've never been before? Do you get that from a lot of visitors who can't believe such a gorgeous
All the
garden is right in
time.
the city?
All the time, to be honest. This is one of the main goals that we have set for us as a venue and as a place for last year and for this year as well. We would like to raise more awareness about us just being here and existing, because so many people who have been living in Tokyo for many, many years, and in Japan, of course, they say that we've never heard of you, because to be honest, the location that where we are is very convenient, both for commuting to other touristic spots, and we're close to Odaiba, we're close to Haneda Airport. But mostly the people who know about our existence are the people who live in the Shirokanedai neighborhood.
Oh, interesting. I see that you sometimes have some animal visitors. This beautiful, is it a gray heron? In
Yes.
the next to the pond is just beautiful.
Thank you. Yeah, it comes every year actually. So usually around summer. So we have herons that come, also cranes, and we have some animals who full time live inside our garden. We have, apart from koi carp, we also have crayfish and turtles. And in spring, we have all sorts of like smaller garden birds, starting from like nightingales, just coming over to enjoy the sakura and other blossoms.
Wonderful. And it looks like you use the gardens, of course, for different seasonal events. So I'm showing here you have bonsai plants. Maybe that was an event along the walkways. We have some fans of bonsai on this show. We often have, I think it's Happy Gora on Haps, often talks about his love of bonsai. And you have this couple in the bamboo forest taking pictures for their wedding. I think this was during Tanabata in July.
Yes, yes, I think so.
So is the garden used for a lot of different seasonal activities and events? Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. So we actually, as for seasonal events, Hapuen has at least three throughout the year that we organize and even managed to keep them last year, of course, in a limited format, but still. First, there is a spring festival that is, of course, related to the cherry blossoms in Japan. And we actually have over 70 cherry blossom trees of different types in our garden. And the beauty of it is that we have various types. So, as you know, Sakura, also depending on the type, blooms. Like there are different periods, starting from late winter when it blossoms, and so we have about a month of cherry blossoms in total through various periods. And there is this Sakura Spring Festival where we, well, usually at least before the COVID, and even now, we encourage the guests to come and enjoy the cherry blossoms. We create, of course, the garden is offered for public visitors, and we also create special food menus for our restaurants. And for example, last this year, because there was already the COVID pandemic happening, we kind of decided to change the format of the event, and we moved it inside one of our banquet halls. So we still offered a living sakura tree display, and we offered bento lunch boxes that the guests could enjoy while still watching the sakura trees, and keep at the same time keeping social distance and being safe. We also have the second,
Lovely. Yeah.
yeah,
This month, of course, everybody's talking about today actually is a national holiday for
yeah,
autumnal equinox, right? And
yeah.
everybody's talking about the moon. And I was so happy to see your autumn moon picture from the garden. It's just beautiful. Has the moon been very clear?
Yes, from Happo-En, because we have this big area that is located on a like flat space inside the garden. It makes it for a very nice spot for taking such photos of there right now there is this super moon, and before earlier this year I think there was also strawberry moon, I believe.
Oh, lovely.
So
And
yeah.
everybody in Japan on social media is now talking about eating mochi and watching the rabbit in the moon pounding mochi. That's a traditional Japanese activity this time of year. You also have some gorgeous autumn colors. Is the leaves changing around the pond now?
No, right now it is still early for Hapuen. The autumn leaf season starts. Well, for Tokyo, it generally comes later than many other places, but for Hapuen, it's usually end of November, beginning of December. That's
Wonderful.
the peak, and this is actually also one of the seasonal events that we do. It is usually called Red Garden. That's when we do. The guests can enjoy the leaves not only during the day, but at nighttime we do light up of the garden. It is very beautiful. We take out inside the garden. We place a bar that offers drinks for the visitors and some light snacks paired up for the drinks. So it is very lovely.
That's nice. And I'm showing the picture of the, I think it's the tea ceremony, the tea house. Is that right?
Yes,
In the garden?
yes.
So that's
So
one of the things that you offer as an experience. People can do tea ceremony on different levels, just sit and have a cup of tea, all the way to having a full tea ceremony experience in the tea house. Is that right?
yes, right now the tea house that is shown on the photo is unfortunately under reconstruction at this stage. It, after all, needs some maintenance because all the buildings inside the garden are they have a very long history. This garden in particular is over 120 years old. So it is currently being maintained, but in general, yes, we offer tea ceremony experiences inside this tea house. It's called Muan, and the guests can either enjoy a longer tea ceremony that lasts about 30 minutes, or when an instructor will prepare the tea right in front of them, whisk and explain the history of the tea ceremony, or they can just come and order a cup of green tea with Japanese sweets and sit inside the tea house, just enjoying the tea, the atmosphere, and the view of the garden.
let's talk about this beautiful movable tea house that it's one of the projects of Happo-En, which I found so fascinating, so interesting. Can you tell us a little bit about how this idea started?
So about Mujoan, I think I would like to give word to Mr. Ichikawa because I'm sure he knows most about our portable tea house. Like you already mentioned, it's on almost all Hapuen's pamphlets and leaflets to the point that it became a symbol of Hapuen in a way. So Ichikawa-san, Mujoan のことをよろしくお願いします。
はい。こちらは八芳園のプロダクトの無常庵という組み立て式の茶室になります。で、こちらはなんですけれども、福岡県の、福岡県大川市というところがですね、もともと日本ではその結婚する花嫁さんが、嫁入り道具として桐のタンスであったりとか、いろいろその嫁入り道具、花嫁道具として家具をその嫁ぎ先のうちに持っていくという文化があったんですけど、今、そういった文化が少しずつなくなってきてしまっていて、木工職人さんがどんどん少なくなってきてしまっているという現状が大川市にありました。で、私たちとしてはその大切に職人さんが受け継いできた文化であったりとか技っていうものを後世に残していっていただきたいなというところから、八芳園がその大川の職人さんが作ったプロダクトをいろんな形に作っていくことによって、その職人さんのお仕事がずっと続いていけばいいなと。で、どうせ作っていただくのであれば、八芳園はその400年の歴史を持ったお庭を持っているその文化を発信する場所になりますので、その日本の文化体験というところで、茶道を体験できるような、ものを作ろうと。で、茶室を作るわけにもいかないので、せっかくならどこでも日本人も海外の方々もそのお茶という文化に触れていただけるように組み立て式の茶室を作ろうというところで、この無常庵という、組み立て式の茶室が出来上がりました。で、八芳園のお庭もそうなんですけれども、本当に都内で行われているイベントであったりとか、実はシンガポールにもこの無常庵は行っていて、2018年とか2019年の桜ジャパンというイベントにも、出展させていただいて、海外の方が実際にこの無常庵の中に入って、お手前を体験していただくなんていう、ところもありました。なので本当に、職人さんの、技術がたくさん詰まっていて、日本の茶道の文化っていうものを体験いただけるような、コンテンツになっています。
Wonderful. Anastasia, can you do an English version for us?
Yes.
Okay,
Well,
wonderful.
so for Mujuan, the story is very interesting. So Mujuan is the name of this portable tea house. So first of all, originally, the craftsmen who created this tea house are from Fukuoka Prefecture, from Okawa City. First, the craftsmen who created our portable tea house, later they were involved into creating furniture for brides. So in the past, long time ago in Japan, there was such cultural tradition that whenever a bride would go to her new family, she was supposed to bring a dowry, and that would include also all sorts of furniture of the smaller scale, such as shelves, and all sorts of small but lovely furniture items from wood that would be crafted by the craftsmen from Okawa City. But as the tradition started going extinct with time, the craftsmen of Okawa City and woodworkers started being left without any job to do. And Hapuen reached out to them originally because we would like to preserve the traditions. And since they were known for their beautiful furniture and woodwork. And we wanted to encourage them to keep creating newer and newer pieces. We decided that we would like them to help us preserve and promote a Japanese tradition of the tea ceremony. So we offered them this project of creating a portable tea house or tea room, in this case, that will later be called Mujoan. So the idea why it should be portable came from the concept that we would like this tea room and the tea ceremony to be enjoyed not only by Japanese people but by foreigners as well. So we wanted to create something that would pass down both the art and craft of Okawa city craftsmen and woodworkers, that would also represent Japanese traditional culture and pass down the tea ceremony. So that's how this tea room, portable tea room Mujuan, was created. And in a way, it became a symbol of Happo-En, thanks to its elegant appearance, and also thanks to the fact that this tea room, being portable, was also moved abroad several times. The most notable time was when we moved Mujuan to Singapore to just deliver it for the Sakura related event in 2018 and 2019. Since the tea house is portable, it can be completely disassembled in a flat state and moved pretty much wherever and reassembled there at the spot. So in 2018 and 2019, people who would visit Singapore and the said event would be able to not only enjoy the view of the tea room Mujuan, but also to go inside and have the tea ceremony experience themselves from the first hand.
So
And
wonderful. And I love the video that you have on YouTube showing the craftsmen at work, taking the wood locally harvested, processing the wood, making the pieces, putting it together, making the tatami, the rush mats, making wooden ornaments from also offcut pieces from the making of the tea house, and then using also offcuts from this process or from local craftsmen to make the what is it, the coasters, which you offer as one of the experiences to guests to come to experience making the coasters, and then making the tea ceremony, what is it called, the cha something, chawa,
chasen is the
chasen,
whisk, yeah, that is used to, yeah,
which
beat
is
the foam
so
in the tea powder. Yeah.
so beautiful and so difficult to make, the chasen. It's just gorgeous. So you can watch this whole experience on the YouTube channel. I love the support of local crafts, of course. A lot of these traditional trades are dying out in Japan, so it's a very important part of Japanese heritage to support the knowledge to be passed on to future generations, as well as these amazing products. It's a fantastic initiative.
Thank you so much. We also appreciate Mujuan being with us because of course, the craft of all Kawasiti woodworkers is outstanding, but also the fact that it was created from scratch, and especially for us, it's one of a kind piece. And even when we move it around, it has to be followed by our staff because they are the only ones who know how to assemble it. And yeah, as for the coasters that can be seen on the photo, it is a simple but a very enjoyable experience that we offer to our guests pretty much at every event. So it is a simple wooden puzzle that can be assembled almost intuitively and later used as a coaster, or in winter we even offer a small twist with a Christmas vibe. If you can see, they look a little bit like snowflakes. So these coasters can also be used for decorating Christmas trees.
Wow. And the lanterns that are made and used in the tea house are just gorgeous. They must cast a beautiful light and shadow experience for people inside the tea house as well.
Yes, that's why in many cases when Mujuan is taken out, which doesn't happen that often, but we try for bigger events to take it out. We usually do it at night after dark so that the guests can see it in all its glory.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. Is there anything about this Mujuan project that we haven't talked about that maybe Ishikawa-san would like to talk about? Everything did we cover?
市川さん、無常のこと何か他の言いたいことはありますか？これで大丈夫ですか？ I
It's
think this is
okay.
it for now. Yeah, for the
Okay,
Mujuan.
yeah. Oh, it's a wonderful branding part of Happo-En, and it seems to utilize the philosophy of Happo-En to support local made in Japan craftsmanship for high quality experience, but also an important part of Japanese traditional heritage and culture. Is that kind of embedded in the mission or philosophy of the company?
Yes, so our company's motto is 日本のお客様には心のふるさと、海外のお客様には日本の文化を which means our mission is to create the home for the heart of Japanese people, a place where they can come back over and over again and feel at home, which corresponds with the idea of preserving traditional Japanese atmosphere and things and providing them for Japanese people. And the second part of our mission sounds as bringing the Japanese culture to the world, bringing the Japanese culture to the foreigners. Which also corresponds with the idea of preserving the said culture and passing it to not only Japanese people, but the people from all over the world, because as everyone already knows, Japan is a small country and it needs many more people to actually spread the knowledge to help preserve the culture and the traditions.
Wonderful. Another thing that I saw on your Facebook page, which I absolutely love, um, is the ikebana and the reuse of the old gnarly wood to make beautiful ikebana vases. Can you talk about that a little bit? I love that idea.
All right, just a second, please. I'll ask Ichikawa-san to comment.
So I'm asking about these photos that I found about beautiful
Oh,
old
the
pieces of
trunk tree.
wood. The trunk tree. Yeah, I want to hear about this project.
はい。これはですね、これも、大川の、木工職人さんの技術で、もともとその流木っていうものが、基本的にはその、廃棄されるものではあるんですけど、この流木っていうものを使って、アートですね、その生け花のアートの一部にしてこうできないかっていうことで、八芳園の正面ロビーではそのサステナブルじゃないですけど循環的なものとしてこの大きな柿の木の、流木を、八芳園ではここにお花を生けて、アートの一部としてお客様をお出迎えさせていただいているっていう風なものになっています。大川市と八芳園は、すごく今深い付き合いをさせていただいていて、先ほどの無常庵やこの流木のオブジェはもちろんなんですけど、パーティーなどで使うバーカウンターであったりとか、立食用のハイテーブル、こういった八芳園内の家具においても全て大川市の職人さんに作っていただいている家具を使っています。これは、 大川のその職人さんのお仕事がこれからも持続可能なものになっていくようにっていうふうな意味で、八方園は積極的にこういったものを使わせていただいているっていうものになります。
So regarding this ikebana that you can see that is placed inside a tree trunk, also has a very interesting history that starts from, once again, Okawa City in Fukuoka Prefecture. It might sound repetitive, but we actually have a very long history of connection with craftsmen from Okawa City. So when it comes to this ikebana piece, it is almost always placed in Hapuen's main lobby at the entrance. And the ikebana displays the flowers in it change seasonally. As for the wood itself, it was found by Okawa City craftsmen. So it's a piece of driftwood of persimmon tree that was originally was supposed to be disposed of, because normally there is no need for such a thing. It cannot be used for furniture or anything. But we at Hapuen and the craftsmen of Okawa City decided to create from this piece of driftwood a central piece for ikebana display. And it has been used for many, many years at Hapuen, also as a sort of symbol. And not only that centerpiece, so of course the flowers change with, I would say, monthly almost, depending on each month. In Japan, there is this very specific understanding of what flowers go with each season. But no matter what flowers or ingredients are used for the ikebana, this driftwood is always the base, because it can be used in because of its very interesting shape, peculiar shape. It can be used in many ways for many displays. But not only this piece of driftwood or the Mujiwan tea house that we mentioned before, all Hapuen's famous furniture that we use. We also have a red bar that we use for our events that is lit up, and high tables that come with it as a set. You can see it in as a display inside of the garden in some of the pamphlets. So all of Hapuen's main furniture is created by craftsmen of Okawa City.
That's wonderful. Yeah, there's so many beautiful images of woodworking. The kumiko is mentioned many times. Is the kumiko the design used in the coasters and in the lampshades in the tea house? Is that right?
Yes, so the kumiko are actually those like wooden puzzle like frame things. This is the name of general design that means that most of these pieces, including like coasters and lanterns, they are originally just put together as a puzzle without using any glue or any fixing. So they just stay together as one shape, just because of the way they were crafted, because of how the wood was carved.
I love that idea. And that's something that traditional Japanese carpenters who have been on the series talk about, the beauty of Japanese building design or temple design and fitting in the pieces perfectly together without the need for nails or hinges. And so it's so nice to see other craftsmanship using this similar technique of just fitting things together. I love that idea. It's gorgeous.
So we also enjoy this woodwork very, very much indeed.
Yeah, and of course, that idea of taking driftwood, taking something which would be considered garbage, but upcycling it, making use of it in such a beautiful, creative way is fantastic. Really, really very sustainable. That's what we want to aim for. We have a great comment from Louise Poppy, who's in New Zealand. She's a travel agent and a tour guide, and she says she's been to Happo-En many times and they have
Yeah,
500-year-old bonsai.
that's
Wonderful,
true.
Louise. Yeah, 500 years.
Yeah.
Amazing.
So there, we actually have two of them. But they are both pine trees. But yeah, the most famous of them is called Shinpaku. It is an iconic, so to say, bonsai in our collection that you can easily find it by its white trunk. So it's a 500 and well, currently, if I'm not mistaken, it's 525-year-old bonsai tree. Part of its trunk is almost bone white in color because of how old it is, and it's already partially dead. But it corresponds with Japanese aesthetics of beauty that parts of the tree are alive and parts are not, and in altogether it creates a really interesting and curious effect.
Yeah. I noticed that in the garden pictures that some of the old trees are very gnarled and misshapen, but that's part of the beauty. You must have wonderful landscapers who are working on the gardens every day.
Yes, actually, for our bonsai tree collection, we have over 30 trees in our collection, and we have our just regular gardeners team that takes care of the garden itself. But for bonsai, there are special people who come several times a month to take care of bonsai specifically because it's a very delicate art, and not even any gardener can take care of them.
Wow, that's amazing. And another part of traditional Japanese culture, which you're helping to preserve and perpetuate for future generations. I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the modern events, besides weddings we mentioned. You're also, of course, coronavirus time is such a difficult time for facilities like yours to keep going. But it looks like you've tried to incorporate innovation, collaborate with companies, for example, here, collaborating with SoftBank, using robots to deliver some drinks. Some of your events, you've created hybrid events where some people are there socially distanced while other people are online. Can you talk a little bit about the innovation you've transitioned to during coronavirus time?
Of course. So, from myself, I would like to just comment that Hapuen also went a long way during 2020 when the pandemic began to adjust and adapt to the new environment. And for example, even the robots that you can see on the photo, the robot servers, have been added to our events relatively recently because even though the idea I think itself might not be that new, but it took quite some time for us to even and for our customers and guests as well to adjust to the idea that in this time and age with the pandemic situation in the world, we need to keep social distancing, and it is better if some traditional aspects of events such as even serving stuff are substituted by the robots. As for the hybrid events, they're also a natural consequence of the necessity to adapt to what is called new normal in the world. And I would like to once again pass the word to Ichikawa-san, who has been working in relations with hybrid events recently. So, Ichikawa-san、ハイブリッドイベントのことを少し教えていただけませんか？
はい、八方園ではこれまで、コロナになる前というのはたくさんの、インバウンドのご宴席とかも、承っておりました。それこそ大きなお部屋に、例えば600人700人の方々の立食パーティーっていうのも当たり前のように行っていたんですが、このコロナの影響を受けてやはりその一箇所に大人数の方々が集まったりとか、そこで会話を楽しんだりお食事を楽しんだりっていうのがこう難しくなった状況を迎えて、じゃあこれからどういうふうにそのイベントの形を変えながら、とはいえ人の交流を作っていくことができるんだろうっていうのをこう考えた時に、オンラインとリアルを融合してハイブリッドで交流を作るというのはできないだろうかっていうふうに考えて、 八方園が、今年から本格的にハイブリッド式のイベントを、プロデュースをし始めています。で、オンラインでは、例えばですけれども、トークショーを、の様子を配信のカメラで押さえて、それをオンラインで中継をして、いろんな日本の各地、または海外のどんな場所からでもその様子に参加することができて、またはオンラインで参加している方同士もこのチャットであったりとか、コミュニケーションを取ることができるようにして、なるべくその、リアルの場所に行っているような、温度感で参加をしていただけるような工夫をとっています。で、リアルでご参加いただいている方にとっては、やはり密になってしまうっていうことを避けるために、例えばですけれども、ご着席いただくところでも、この少し、正方形のテーブルを使ったりとか、対面にならないように、曲線状のテーブルを、作って自然とソーシャルディスタンスを保てるような空間をご提案していたりとか、または、ロボティクスなんかもこう入れてですね、今までのビュッフェ形式のように一つの場所に大人数の人がこうお料理を取りに行くのではなくって、ロボットがこう会場内をぐるーっとこう回っていて、自分の好きなタイミングで好きなお料理をロボットが止まっているところにこう取りに行くというふうに、なるべくそのお料理を取るところも、一箇所にたくさんの人が集まってっていうことではなくって、時差分散型というふうに発本では言っているんですけれども、密にならないような工夫を、取り入れていたりもします。なので私たちもそのずっとおもてなしっていうのをこう人を介して続けていった来ていたんですけれども、今の時代にとってはそのロボティクスも取り入れながら新しいおもてなしの形っていうのを、ご提案をさせていただいて、リアルとオンラインを融合したそこでおもてなしをお届けするっていう風なハイブリッドイベントっていうのをご提案させていただいています。
Thank you very much. Anastasia, can you give us an English summary of the points he made?
Of course. The main point is that before the COVID pandemic hit, actually at Happo-En, even 600, 700 people events were not a rare thing. We would hold such big standing events for larger groups, and there would be no problem. But of course, with the beginning of the COVID, such events became impossible, and we had to come up with a solution to allow people still communicate, keep the connections, and enjoy the content that we would like to present to them during the events. And for that, we started thinking what could be done and decided to come up with the concept of hybrid events, where hybrid would stand for uniting online environments and the offline or real-time event venues with limited amount of participants. So when it comes to the online part of the hybrid events, we would, for example, offer the participants online broadcasts of talk shows or lectures from the speakers, and even communication on real-time basis with the speakers themselves. For example, the speakers could be outside of Japan and even or outside of Tokyo, and still the guests through online tools would be able to enjoy the information and communicate with the speakers. And as for the real-time or offline part of the hybrid events, we would of course offer the venues, but already with the rules that would answer the principles of social distancing, but in an, so to say, unintrusive way. So instead of just putting partitions between the people and telling them to not come close to each other, we just started, for example, using bigger rooms for smaller amounts of people, or when during sitting events or even events that would involve food or tastings, We would use bigger tables and place the guests in a way that they would not sit exactly opposite from each other. And we even created special layouts for the hybrid types of events where the guests could sit in different sorts of areas that would be separated by functionality. For example, there would be areas where there are just sitting places. There would be areas where the guests for business conferences, for example, can also come and bring their laptops and participate in the events while working on the computers. And of course, the robotics part of the innovative part of the events was added so that the guests wouldn't have to, for example, during the events when there is some buffet or serving of the food, so that the guests wouldn't have to crowd together in front of one table and wouldn't even have to maybe move at all from their seats, because the food and the drinks would be delivered to them individually by the robots. And that's Hapoen's current innovative look of the modern shape of events after the COVID, the hybrid events.
Oh, really interesting. And there's a fantastic video, which I'm showing clips from here. A woman in a absolutely gorgeous kimono showing you how to wash your hands. Sumo wrestlers showing how to keep a distance. You had some ninjas in the video. It's a really high production value just to show how to behave during COVID. It's very entertaining. How did that production happen? Because you said they were professional ninjas and professional geisha who were in the video. It's amazing.
Thank you. So actually, we had a request of some sort to create a social distancing and hygiene related video, a very short one that would introduce all the new rules that might be a little bit intimidating to the guests and participants of the Olympics and Paralympic Games. So originally, the video was supposed to introduce to them the new rules of, washing hands and trying food in a fun and creative way. And we thought about how about, the rules are very new, the situation is very new, but how about we combine traditional Japanese culture and create a situation where all these new rules are introduced by the symbols of Japan, such as sumo wrestlers, ninja, and the beautiful person in kimono that you see on the photo called Oiran are the higher class geisha that we invited from Osakusa. So that's what they actually do. For example, before the COVID pandemic, for example, the geishas, they would have a lot of performances and a lot of work to do. It was actually a lot of trouble to even getting them to come to Happo-En. But recently, because of all the recent events, a lot of geisha of different class, no matter if they're experienced high level or just newcomers, they don't have much work to do. So we started inviting them for projects such as this one, and just trying to also help them stay afloat and pass down the culture, and also help them preserve their activities. So they were also very eager to help.
That's wonderful. Yeah, it's something that I think a lot of people don't realize is, of course, we know that restaurants were struggling, event spaces were struggling, any attraction that usually has a lot of visitors was struggling, but all of the related businesses, of course, are also struggling. So geisha and all the maiko and every part of that traditional culture depends on people going out drinking or going out eating. So, of course, they have a lot of loss of business. People who make sake, people who make shochu or beer are also really struggling because people aren't going out drinking as much. So, what you're doing to preserve and perpetuate Japanese culture and tradition even during this slowdown is really important. And I appreciate all the work you guys are doing. Fantastic.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'd also like to talk a little bit about supporting local businesses because we mentioned before we went live how you're trying to promote, for example, Fukushima peaches or dairy farmers in Peninsula. You're choosing made in Japan brands and trying to promote them from your facility as well. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes, so actually, the concept of supporting local producers and local farmers didn't start just recently. It has been one of our concepts and our mottos for quite a long time, even in our restaurants. One of them called Thrash Cafe, its concept is farm to table, which means that we concentrate on like all the food that is made in that cafe and served is made from freshest Japanese ingredients that are harvested by local Japanese farmers and produced in Japan. So, with Japanese farmers from different prefectures, we have been having quite a long connection. But recently, once again, under the influence of the pandemic and farmers' products, this can be fruits, vegetables, wine, sake, and also that would be kind of an extension of Hapoen's previous activities because all Hapoen's food and original products, such as even our bread, because we have our own bakery, and chocolates, they're all created with the support and help of the local producers. And about the recent events that we've been having for such food production, for example, Fukushima peach or Izu Island's Oshima milk products, I would like to give the word to Ichikawa-san so that he could make a comment.
何のことについてこれ。
大島牛どうやって付き合い始めたんですか？
はい。八芳園ではそのベーカリーであったりとか、チョコレートのブランドなどがあるんですけれど、このベーカリーのブランドは2015年から始まっておりまして、八芳園にはパン職人の青木という、職人がいるんですけれども、この職人が、やっぱりこうお客様に毎日食べても飽きが来なくって、体に優しいそんなパンを作りたいっていうものを、ずっと思っていたんですけど、なかなかこう自分が理想とするパンが作れなかった。それは何でかっていうと、それに適する素材が見つけられなかったっていうのがあったんですね。で、パン作りにおいてはそのバターがすごく大事なところなんですけど、日本のものや海外のものを取り寄せてもなかなかこう自分の理想通りのパンが出来上がらないっていうふうに悪戦苦闘している中で、八芳園のスタッフが実は伊豆大島の出身のスタッフがいて、大島には外には出回ってない島内だけで食べられてるバターがあるんですというふうなお話を、青木にして、それをちょっとぜひ取り寄せてみようというところから、ストーリーが始まっています。で、実際にそれを取り寄せてパンを焼いてみたら、本当に青木が求めていたクロワッサンが焼き上がることができたんですね。っていうのはすごく大島のバターとか牛乳っていうのは自然環境にすごく恵まれたところで酪農業が営まれているので、とってもこうあっさりとした、牛乳やバターの味わいなんですね。バターも見た目でもすごく分かりやすいんですけど、普通バターってちょっとこう黄色みがかっていると思うんですけど、大島のバターは白いんですね。本当にこうあっさりとしている美味しいバターを使わせていただいて、焼き上げることができて、でこの伊豆大島のバターを使って今後も自分はパンを作り続けたいというふうに思って、実際に伊豆大島に青木が直接その大島牛乳さんのところにご挨拶に行かせていただいたんですね。で、こういう事情で僕は大島牛乳さんのバターを使って パンを作りたいんですというふうに直接申し出て、でもいや当該にはね出してないんですよっていうふうなお話を最初は言われてしまったんですけど、でもどうしてもこれを使っていろんな人にこう伝えていきたいんですというふうなその熱意を買っていただいて、じゃあ八芳園ならその大島バターをおろしてあげようっていうところで、大島の、その牛乳工場さんですね、大島牛乳さんに許可をいただいて、で、八芳園のブルーツリーという、ベーカリーブランドでは大島の牛乳やバターを使わせていただいておりまして、で実はこの大島牛乳さんっていうのが2007年に一度倒産してしまってるんですね。倒産してしまっていて、でも島の有志の方々が集まって、復活して、今は牛乳をたった5人で、作っていらっしゃる会社さんなんですね。でもそうなるとやっぱりこういつ何時またその倒産の危機が訪れるかわからないっていう状況にはあるんですけど、八芳園がその伊豆大島の牛乳を積極的にこう使わせていただいて、ブルーツリーというそのブランドのパンをたくさんの方々に食べていただくことによって、その大島牛乳の、少しでもこう貢献というか、売り上げにつながるように、ブルーツリーでは、大島牛乳の、素材を使わせていただいております。これも先ほどの大川の木工職人と同じように伊豆大島の酪農業がずっとこう、続いていくように、そういうふうに一緒にこう、伴走しながら、伊豆大島の牛乳を八芳園で使わせていただいて、で、伊豆大島の方々にとっては八芳園がたくさんそのパンを作っていろんなお客様に広めてくれるからこそ、大島の牛乳を作り続けられることができる。お互いに、こういう関係性を大事にしながら作らせていただいているパンが、ブルーツリーというベーカリーブランドになります。
Thank you so much. There was a lot of detail there. Anastasia, we're running a little short on time. Could you do just the key points, maybe?
Of course. Recently we've been having an event and a lot of campaigns that would promote Oshima, it is a place that is located on Izu Island, Oshima dairy products. So the reason why we decided to do this event, and we have been promoting butter, milk, and even ice cream created based on their products. The reason why we decided to start this event is because we also have very long story of connection with Oshima dairy product farm. So originally our Blue Tree Bakery's chef started using their butter, which has a very special quality. You know, usual butter has a little bit of yellowness because of unique conditions of Oshima and Izu Island. The nature is so outstanding that even the butter that is produced there is almost pure white. And what makes it even more special is until Hapuen established a connection with that farm, the Oshima dairy products would only be used on that particular island. They would not export it anywhere else. But we made an agreement with them and started using their butter to bake our bread. But recently, due to a chain of tragic events and the influence of pandemic, unfortunately, Oshima milk companies went bankrupt. And right now, well, because it had a pretty long history, the island people gathered and decided to somehow revive the production of the dairy products because they were so important for the locals as citizens as well. But currently, the company has been renewed, but it's only run by 5 people. So they really needed a lot of support and help because, of course, there is financial struggle happening there, and the production itself costs a lot. So Hapuen decided to help and support them as much as possible because of our long history of relationship and because our signature bread also became so popular thanks to their products. So now, recently we have been holding a promotion event for the Oshima milk dairy products, where we're selling bread made with milk and butter. And also we offer our customers to try the delicious Oshima ice cream that is made with their milk as well.
That's fantastic. And that is such an important part of sustainability as well, is supporting local people and supporting local craftspeople, but also any industry in the rural area is so important for the local economy. So that's a very important part of sustainability as well. There's so many wonderful things I would love to continue talking about. I think we've just kind of touched the outer edge of all the wonderful things that Happo-En is doing. So I'm afraid we have to leave it there for now. But thank you both so much for joining today and for sharing so many wonderful insights about the wonderful facility, Happo-En, the wonderful gardens, and the support of local craftspeople and local products. And I really appreciate all the work you're doing, and I hope to visit myself someday. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for giving us this opportunity today, and we will be happy to welcome you at any time and even give you a tour. So we're really looking forward to talking to you again. And thank you so much for letting us participate in this conversation today.
Oh, thank you so much. And Ichikawa-san, ありがとうございます。
ありがとうございます。
Thank you so much for your detailed explanations and for the passion and philosophy for supporting local people, local trades, and local products, which is so important for all of our future in Japan and everywhere. So thank you so much. Thank you, everybody, for joining today. Thank you for your wonderful questions and comments. It's so nice that some of the people joining us today had actually been to Happo-En. How special is that?
Yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for listening to this conversation today. And we are very happy to know those of you who have been to Hapuen before. Thank you so much, and we're looking forward to seeing you again. Those who have never been to Hapuen, we hope the opportunity arises soon, and we'll be looking forward to meeting you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. See you next time. Thank you, Anastasia. Thank you,
Thank you.
Ichikawa-san. Arigato.
Goodbye.
Thank you.